Hello everyone, it's Amy and welcome back for another Journaling on a Budget. Today we are going to make a really cool page, and the idea for the closure for this page I was given by Life Prepared is the name of her channel, and she made a comment about our puzzle tabs in this book, and then she had an idea and I thought it was such a cool idea I just had to do it right away. And so we've got our book, and we're just going to untie our closure here, and oops. So here's the secret. This is what it's going to look like using two puzzle pieces as a closure for a page. Now this page doesn't actually go with our book very well, so this is not the one we're going to use. We're going to make one for the book, but isn't that just awesome? I just love it. I thought it was so cool, and I love puzzle pieces, and so I just thought that this would be a really neat addition to our book. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to, first off, let's pull out the page we're going to be working on. So let's see, it was in the second signature, right in the middle. So this is the page that we're going to be working on today. We're going to be working on this page here. And we really needed something for this page, so this is going to work perfectly. So I'm just going to slide this page out, and then we'll set our book aside. Just makes things easier to work that way. And so this is the page we're going to be working on. I'm also going to put our little clip aside. And we're going to start by painting our puzzle pieces. Now, when we're done painting, you need to find two pieces that actually fit together. So I had an old puzzle and went through and picked out some so that I would have more than one actually to play with, because I think that I just think it's really a cool idea. Thank you very much, Life Prepared, for this idea, because it's just awesome. And so I'm just going to put a little bit of blue paint out. And then when they're dry, I'm going to cover them with silver. But I'm going to start with a blue backing, so maybe it will show through just a little bit. You do want to make sure that you get the edges of your pieces. It's nice if you just have a pin or something to hold it down, just a plain old straight pin. But it just helps it so that it's not moving all over on you, so that you can get those edges, because you want to make sure that you get the edges good, because you don't want that just plain cardboard showing when you get it all done. And when you get it all painted up, you will have to sand the areas that we painted on the two pieces that fit together. But I do paint the whole thing so that it kind of soaks in just a little bit. And so when you sand it, it may not be as noticeable. And it's just easier if you try not to get any paint on the edges, because you're still going to have, even the paint on the top is going to make a difference in the way that it closes together. So we'll just sand that down at the end. So we're going to put there, we've got a nice coat on that one. And I'm just going to kind of thin this coat out a little bit too, so that it can dry faster. There we go. And I just clean my brush so that I don't ruin it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just move those off of the areas where I painted them so they don't stick to my paper. Whoops. And then we will go ahead and do the backs of them also. You don't have to do the backs of them. You can only do just a little bit of the back of one. But it's just as easy to me to do both of them. So we've got those, and we'll set those aside. And now we will make our page, our insert to go on this page. And what I want is this, all we did when we made our journal was we folded a regular A4 sheet in half. And so A4 sheet is just a letter size in the United States. And so this page is pretty much, this is a little bit shorter, but they're pretty much the same size. This is also a letter size page. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it let me see. Now my middle is right about here, and I want my closure to be right around the middle. So I'm going to fold this one over a little past center. Not a lot past center. Let me see here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put just a little tiny fold right there. Okay. So now we know that center is right here, just so you can kind of see. So I'm going to go maybe like a 1/2 inch past center. I wanted to be able to tell you how far over I was going. And then we're just going to burnish that down. And then we're going to take the other side and we're going to bring it and we're going to fold it over about a 1/2 inch past the edge of this sheet. And it's not an exact amount. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this on my page to make sure it's going to fit, and it is. There will be just a teeny tiny border on there, which is totally fine. But I didn't want it to be too small, but you can make this any size that you want to. You could fold it over much further to make it skinnier. And this is just a piece of watercolor dyed paper that we learned how to do in Build Your Stash. We might have even done it on this series, I'm not sure. So, and then I do not want this as long as my page. I want it, about 1/2 inch shorter top and bottom. So I'm just going to cut a little bit off the top and the bottom now that I've got it folded. And I like to do that after I fold it so that I know that my top and bottom are really straight. Otherwise, sometimes, if I fold it and I fold a touch crooked, but this way I know that since I'm cutting it, it's going to be straight top and bottom. So there's approximately a 1/2 inch off the top and the bottom. And now we have this really pretty piece that opens up like that. And so I could decide if I like this side better, then I could just fold these flaps the other way. But I like it the way it is. So now we have our page folded, and this is what's going to go right in here, just like this. I want just a little bit of design on the top and on the bottom. I want to go ahead and ink around the edges of this one in blue. If we wanted, we could round the edges on our pages. You could even round the edges here, and then that gives you kind of a cute look when you open it up. But I'm going to... I was thinking Punchinella here, but I'm just not sure if that's really what we want. I think it is. I'm going to put some Punchinella here and on the bottom. And I do have some, let me see here. This is not quite the inks that we've been using. This is our ink from the Build Your Stash and Craft series when we made our own ink pads. But I'm going to use that color, I think, for to color with the Punchinella. It's just a little bit brighter. And because it's going on tea-dyed paper, I kind of thought I would like that brighter color. Make it a little light there. Oops, I had a very straight line. I don't like straight lines. So I'm going to line this back up again. That's better. Oh, what the heck. Oops, I was thinking just put Punchinella all the way across top, but maybe not. Yeah, darker in some spots and lighter in others. I'm gonna edge the edges, distress the edges. There we go. That looks pretty. And we'll do it on the bottom also. Did we make that go all the way through to our other page? Let's see. Oh, it did a little bit right here, but that's not gonna hurt a thing. So our stamp from the other side here, that one came through just a little bit too, but that's all right. That's not a big deal. I think what I'll do, if you want to make things a little bit the same, I will just make it a little heavier here, and that's going to come through now on the other side also. just get a little bit all along this edge, lighter and darker, and there we go. And did that come through? Yep, a little bit. So now we have a little bit of that at the top and at the bottom. Just kind of put that, kind of draw all that together. So that's going to be enough to do our top and our bottom. And so then we're just going to, I'm going to edge this with that same color. And you want to edge your inside flap also. You don't need to edge the back side because we're going to glue it down. And then I have to decide, okay, it's going to be in our book. When we open our book, it'll be like this, be on the outside. So which way do I want my flap to open? Do I want to open it to the outside, or do I want it to open to the inside? I think I like it opening to the outside, but I think I like the way this looks better. So I'm going to put it on here like this. This one will open to the outside. This will be my inside. So on the inside, you can edge the inside flap of the flap, but on the outside, I don't, because I don't want that line right down the center. I'll show you what I mean in just a second. So if I were to edge this one, this would be very blue line right down the center. And being that I'm going to have my puzzle pieces there, I don't want that dark line there. So that's why I was trying to figure out which way I wanted it first, because I don't want to edge this edge here. So we're edged here, we're edged here. We don't want in both sides. We don't want it there. We've got it here. And then on the inside, we need to edge along on the inside. And again, that's just something, it's totally your preference if you want to edge or not. I just kind of like the way it looks. Okay. Now I can do the inside of that other flap, but I want to be careful not to get it on the outside. So this is my blank flap here. And I am going to put a little bit, I'm going to make sure that I hold this at almost a straight angle so that I'm not hopefully getting that blue too much along the outside edge. And there, we didn't. So now that's still nice and plain, and I want to leave that way. So now it's all edged. Yes. And we'll just put this away. And then we're going to grab our little puzzle pieces. And we've got that base of blue on there. So maybe we won't do the backs on this. Maybe I'll only do it where we need to. So we're going to put our silver on here. Just one little drop of silver will do it. Just wipe off my brush. Oh yeah, that's even way too much. And I do want to make sure that I get my edges good. And the silver really covers up that blue, so it's not really going to show through very much, but it'll have just a tinge. Unless I were to do two coats. If I were to do two coats, then you wouldn't see the blue at all, at all. I want to make sure that I get it down in there and all around the edges. And you might want that little bit of cardboard to show through. It's totally however you think that you want it to look. Now, I've got a little bit of the red from the puzzle piece showing through right here, so I'm going to try and put a little bit more silver there. And we'll just get this one done up. And then we're going to have to let these dry so that we can sand them. So you're going to want them to be quite dry before you sand them, because then you're not going to be rubbing the paint off with your hands as you're trying to hold it and sand it at the same time. And you can dry them with your heat gun if you want to. Just want it to be nice and straight across there. I'm not sure if I remember to get all of the edges, so I'm just going to kind of try and do that again too. And then straighten it back up. Okay, and then I want this one to kind of have straight lines also. Let me see, now they're going to hook together. I think they go together like this. Is that correct? Or is it like this? I think they go together like that. So I want to make sure that my lines, when I just kind of brush over the top to make sure that my lines are all kind of straight, I want them both to go the same way. Like that. There we go. Alrighty. So we're going to let those dry. And I think I'm going to grab my corner. No. Trying to think if I want to. I'm not going to round the corners. I think with the square page, I like the way that it looks like this. So we're going to let this dry, and I'm going to come back and we're going to get things all attached together. Be back in just a second. Okay, I am back. I did glue this onto our signature on the page it's going to go on. I just used Fabri-Tac, so I didn't figure you needed to sit there and watch me try and get the Fabri-Tac on there. So that's there and ready to go. These are dry, and I just need to make sure. Okay, these are my two pieces that fit together, but see, they don't fit together nicely now because we've got that paint in there. I could force them together, but I don't want them to stay together, so I don't want to force them together. And, you know, so then all you're going to need to do, you can use a nail file, a little piece of sandpaper, and just sand off just a little bit of the outside edge. Basically, you're just kind of sanding off the paint that was there, and maybe just a touch more, just so that they fit together nicely but don't stick too bad. So I do both pieces. You could probably just do one or the other. I've got a little bit off of there now, and I like to check it because I don't want to take off too much where they won't fit together very well. And then I do make sure that I take off just a little bit here and a little bit here, just to make sure that they unlock when you want them to. But it's just like trial and error. You know, just keep doing it and trying it, because you don't want you just don't want to make it too loose where it won't stick at all. And I suppose, you know, if you got it too loose and it just wouldn't stay together, you could go ahead and put just a little bit of paint on one side or the other and let it dry. And then they probably, you know, that would take up enough space for them to fit together. Okay, they're fitting better. Definitely I need to get some more. You know, a nail file works really well for trying to get the edges off those little points. It's easier to kind of get in there. I'll turn this one over and do it from the other side too. You don't want to go like too hard and fast because you don't want to peel the layers of your puzzle piece apart while you're sanding. Get that side and then get this side over here. Okay, let's see if that gets it. Okay, that fits together pretty nicely, just a little bit tight. And pretty much, I think pretty much where it's tight is along the edges here. And now this is not dried for a really long time, so after I get it all put together and we get it done, I will open it back up again and set it aside to make sure that it dries nicely so that the two pieces don't stick together. Acrylic paint likes to be a little bit sticky until it's completely dry. And I don't know if you can see or not, but the edges still have just a little bit of paint or color on them. And I think that's because it kind of soaks in a bit when you paint them. Oh, now that just went together really nicely. So I'm going to call that good. So now these are our two pieces, and the one thing that I want to do is I thought, that's really cool and it's really pretty, but I thought it might look really nice with just a little bit of pattern on it. And so I just grabbed this is just a clear stamp. I can't tell you who it's from or anything, because most of my clear stamps I got on D-stashes, and they just kind of came, like this was just on a piece of acetate, clear plastic. So I don't know who it is, but it's very busy. It's got a lot of little parts to it. So that way, because these are so small, you'll actually be able to see kind of some design on them, because this has so much design on it. Sorry about that, hubby called. So we were saying that this is a very busy stamp, and you might be able to see it a little bit better now because of now that it's got the ink on it, but I'm just going to kind of lay it on my stamps. Just kind of try and center it a little bit. Then don't let it move. And then just press it down. And it's easier to do this, I would think, before you put it on your page, because that way, if your stamp goes over the edge, I'll make it go over the edge, it won't leave marks on your page. So there we go. So now we have marks on the page here, which we wouldn't want on that page. I don't know if you can see that, but it has a really nice look to it. I really like that. It's got like a flower out here, some geometrical designs over here. It's very pretty. So I'm gonna get the rest of the ink off that stamp real quick. Put the stays on away, and then we're gonna glue it on. All right, so the way that I like to glue it on is so that the piece that sticks out is the piece that locks down and comes back up again. So this little piece here is the piece that I like to be loose, and this one will be solid. So what you're going to want to do is you decide where you want it. I put them together and decide where I want it. And let's say we're just going to do it right in the center. Then what you're going to do is you're going to move the piece with well, let's just do it this way. Either way, what you have to do is you have to move this piece that's going to be completely glued down. You want to move that over, probably like a 1/16 of an inch. You don't want this flap catching on it. So you want it just over a little bit from this flap, and you're going to glue the whole thing. I like to use tacky glue for this, because even though the Fabri-Tac grabs quicker, I think for something like this, the tacky glue is made more for paper. I mean, the other works on paper too. I don't know what my thought is behind it. I just know that I think that the tacky glue just bonds a little bit better when it's dry. Alrighty, so this one is going to go here. I'm going to put it right about center and make sure that my flap goes up and down. And that is where that one is going to stay. And I'm going to take this one and put it on there. Okay, that looks good. I just wanted to make sure that everything looked good before I let that dry. And let that dry a little bit. And then this one here, I'm going to put glue on the back, but remember, the little tab and a little bit of this here is not going to be touching the paper. So we want to make sure that we keep our glue back to right where the edge of this paper is going to be. So that's just a little bit behind the front part, the flat part, and then all the rest of it back here. And when you do this, you want to make sure that you don't have so much up here that it's going to squish that way and glue you down. So I'm going to just kind of flatten that to the back just a little bit. And then to make sure it's in just the right spot, going to put it on here. And press it down. And then I'm going to hold this one down so that it doesn't move. And then kind of hold onto this one with my thumb, put my fingers under the flap, and lift that one up so that it can dry. And then I'm just going to kind of go back down and look, make sure I'm not closing it all the way, but making sure it looks like it's going to close, make sure it looks like I didn't move it when I lifted it up. And it looks like I did move it just a little bit, so I'm going to move it back. And there we go. Now we're going to let that dry, and our closure will be done. And isn't that just the cutest thing ever? And then I thought on the page next to this, which is that dendritic print that was so bright, since that's going to be next to it, and it's got the pretty little silver puzzle pieces, I'm going to knock this back just a little bit with some of the silver paint. Now, not this side goes against something else, which it looks good together, but this side, I just thought it just needs a little something. So I'm just like taking just a little bit of the silver and just kind of giving it a swipe. Because the silver is kind of see-through, a little transparent, it gives us some interest without taking away completely the look of the dendritic print. I'll just do a little bit more. You don't want to have too much on your finger. If you have a blob on your finger like that, you're going to get some really, really dark spots. So you can just kind of wipe that off and just have a little bit on your finger and then just lightly rub it, let it touch. And get my rubber band out of the way, and then go back and get just a little bit more and kind of pat it off just like you would pat off a sponge, or you could use a sponge even. I just think, I don't know, I don't mind getting my hands in the paint. I kind of actually like that. When I was a kid, I did like to finger paint. I can remember there were some kids in school that didn't like to finger paint. That just always amazed me. It's like, what do you mean? They didn't like the texture. There we go. Now that knocks that back a little bit more. We're probably going to need a little something more to it, but I just kind of wanted to just knock it back, and that just does that, and it gives it that little bit of sparkle all over, which also looks really nice. So we're going to take our page and put it back in here. So that we can see what it looks like. Okay. And there we go. I like the way that looks. And that even makes this not as wild as it used to be, because this has got a little bit of wildness going on all on its own. Oh, and there was something I did want to put. These are just some little butterflies. And I pulled them out to stamp on my, I was going to stamp them on here, but they were way too small. And I didn't think that they would work nicely, so I went and found the other one. But I really kind of liked the way they looked, so I thought that I would like to put just a few of them on this page, and maybe even like over here or something. Let's see. I don't even know if you can see them. See, they're just light and tiny. Let's try putting one right here. Hopefully, I'm not sure what's behind there. Get behind there and make sure that we have good contact. And again, that's where a sheet comes in nice. If you have a cardboard, which we made one, it's just not here right now. I'm not sure where I put it. Do I want these ones upside down? No, I don't. We're going to do them this way too. But yeah, if you have a cardboard writing board, just in the back of your book, so when you're going to do anything like this, or you want to write or anything, you can put that cardboard behind it. and it gives you a nice flat surface. There, that looks cute too. See? So, I think maybe I want just one more on this side. Maybe right down in here. Let's see, I don't want to put it where... Here we go. And there, just very lightly, just something in the background, something to kind of discover. And so there we go. That's it for today's page. We will probably put a pocket or something in here, possibly, just so that it's a nice little secret place or locked place that people can put things. And we will probably do just a little something over here, whether it be some lace or something there. So I'm going to leave this open like this so that it doesn't get locked together. And I'm going to let it sit overnight like that. And then I'll tie my book back up. That way it won't stick to here. It won't stick to itself, because you really do need to let acrylic glue dry so that it doesn't glue itself to something. Well, that's it for today. I really do appreciate you stopping by. Thank you very much. And I hope that you all have an outstanding day. Bye-bye.